Hamo, a majestic warrior from a distant galaxy, soared through the cosmos in his sleek spaceship. With a chiseled jawline, piercing blue eyes, and an aura of invincibility, he had been chosen by the Galactic Council to safeguard the universe from threats like the Serranians. These fearsome aliens were notorious for their deadly invasions, having decimated countless planets already. Hamo's mission: protect Earth, the next target. As he neared Earth's atmosphere, a colossal shadow loomed beside his ship. It was Gorgo, a gigantic creature covered in scales that shimmered like emeralds under the star's light. Though Gorgo's presence could have been menacing, his large, innocent eyes and goofy grin made clear that he was more friend than foe. To the untrained eye, Gorgo was a monster, but to those who knew him, he was a gentle giant with the heart of a child. Hamo and Gorgo landed on the outskirts of a bustling city, careful not to draw too much attention. However, Gorgo's immense size made secrecy a challenge. Children were the first to spot him, their eyes widening in awe rather than terror. They quickly swarmed him, laughing joyfully as they tugged at his massive claws and tried to climb onto his back. "Easy, Gorgo," Hamo chuckled, observing the scene with a mixture of amusement and concern. Despite their friendly welcome, Earth was clearly unprepared for the impending Serranian threat. Hamo knew he had to start planning Earth's defense immediately. As the children's laughter echoed around them, Hamo used his advanced technology to scan the area for any signs of Serranian activity. His readings were clear, for now. However, he couldn't shake off the sense of urgency. In a nearby forest, he set up a temporary base. Using the holographic displays from his ship, he began strategizing. Gorgo, despite his light-hearted demeanor, watched intently, knowing the gravity of the situation. With the Galactic Council's intel, Hamo identified potential Serranian landing sites and devised countermeasures. As night fell, Hamo and Gorgo took a moment to observe the serene beauty of Earth, so different from the war-ravaged planets Hamo had seen in his quests before. Gorgo, lying on his back, gazed at the stars, possibly thinking of his home or the battles to come. "We'll protect this world, Gorgo," Hamo said softly, his resolve hardening. "No matter what it takes." Thus began their adventure on Earth, two unlikely allies preparing to face an unimaginable threat. The genuine bond between them, blending courage and innocence, set the stage for the battles and discoveries that lay ahead. The clouds above drifted apart, revealing a night sky speckled with stars, a silent reminder of the vast universe Hamo had sworn to protect. Hamo sat hunched over the holographic map that illuminated his dimly lit quarters. His hazel eyes flickered with determination as he traced the trajectory of the Serranians. These were no ordinary invaders, they were ancient beings with the dark ability to siphon cosmic energy and control planets through mental manipulation. The galaxy was on the precipice of chaos, and it was up to him to prevent it. Just then, the door hissed open, and Gorgo, Hamo's trusted companion, stepped in. Gorgo was a towering figure, covered in scales with eyes that gleamed like molten gold. He exuded an aura of strength and resilience, his very presence providing a sense of reassurance. Hamo turned to him, a hint of urgency in his voice. "Gorgo, I found something. The first trace of the Serranians. They're in the Draconis Solar System, its energy levels have spiked uncontrollably." Gorgo's brow furrowed as he leaned over the holographic map. "Do we have a plan?" he rumbled. Hamo nodded, his mind already racing with strategies. "We need to get there before they can launch a full-scale attack. If we disrupt their energy feed, we might be able to weaken them enough to stop their mind control waves." Gorgo thumped his tail against the ground, a gesture that signaled his readiness. "Then let's not waste any more time." The pair moved quickly to their starship, the Pulsar's might. As they navigated through the cosmos, Hamo couldn't shake the feeling of impending dread. The Draconis Solar System loomed ahead, its once serene planets now bathed in an eerie, pulsating glow. They reached the outer rim of Draconis and Hamo initiated the ship's stealth mode, hoping to avoid detection for as long as possible. The scene that greeted them was chilling, massive, bioorganic structures spread across several planets, connected by threads of shimmering energy. There, Hamo pointed. That's their main conduit. If we strike there, we can sever their energy flow. Gorgo took the controls, piloting the Pulsar's might with precision. They swooped down towards the conduit, evading tendrils of energy that seemed almost alive. Hamo's hands danced over the ship's console, preparing the disruptor cannons. Ready, now, he shouted, and Gorgo unleashed the disruptors. The conduit shuddered, a ripple of destabilization coursing through them. For a brief moment, the pulsating energy faltered. But the Serranians were not without defenses. From the bioorganic structures emerged fleets of mind-controlled drones, their eyes glowing with the same malevolent energy. We need to hold them off. Gorgo barked. Hamo nodded, eyes narrowing as he released a barrage of plasma bolts, his aim precise and relentless. It was a desperate struggle, the odds stacked against them, but retreat was not an option. The fate of the galaxy rested on their shoulders, and neither Hamo nor Gorgo intended to falter. As the last of the conduits shattered and the energy began to dissipate, a deafening roar echoed through the void. The Serranians had been weakened, but Hamo knew this was only the beginning of the war. The battle had been won, but the war to save the galaxy had just begun. Hamo and Gorgo arrived at a desolate wasteland, a dead planet that had once been vibrant with life. Now, only the skeletal remains of buildings and the charred craters of the ancient battle scarred the surface. As they stepped off their ship, Hamo's sophisticated scanners picked up energy traces that hinted at the fierce struggle that took place here. Gorgo, the hulking giant with a heart of gold, felt a mix of sorrow and anger welling up, each crumbling ruin telling a silent story of loss and destruction. Serranians did this, Hamo murmured, his eyes narrowing as he sifted through the digital data streaming across his device. His nimble fingers quickly pieced together the scattered information. There's something strange here, Gorgo. They used a rare technology called the Dark Gate. It allows them to travel between planets without detection. That's how they caught these defenders by surprise. Gorgo's eyes blazed with determination. Then we must stop them, Hamo. They can't be allowed to destroy more worlds. As if on cue, a high-pitched screech echoed through the empty sky. Dark shapes began to emerge from the shadows, and in moments, Hamo and Gorgo were surrounded by a snarling swarm of Serranian drones. These malevolent creatures, with their razor-sharp claws and soulless red eyes, lunged at the duo in unison. Hamo drew his blaster, precise shots picking off attackers with calculated efficiency. Gorgo, however, roared and charged into the mass of drones, his colossal fist swinging with the force of a hurricane. With each blow, drones were crushed and scattered like twigs. Despite their sheer numbers, the Serranian drones were no match for Gorgo's raw power and unyielding spirit. With a final, powerful sweep of his arm, Gorgo sent the last of the drones crashing to the ground, ending the skirmish as abruptly as it had begun. Panting, Gorgo turned to Hamo, who gave a nod of approval. They had faced death and destruction together, and their bond had grown even stronger. We've got to warn the other planets, Hamo said, a steely resolve in his voice. And find a way to counter the Dark Gate. Gorgo nodded, his eyes glinting with fierce loyalty. They boarded their ship, ready to embark on the next leg of their perilous journey, determined to thwart the Serranian threat. The Battle of the Dead Planets had been just the beginning. Hamo and Gorgo felt a mixture of relief and urgency as their ship entered Earth's atmosphere. They had just uncovered the Serranians' sinister plan to take over the planet, and there was no time to lose. As their spacecraft landed in a secluded area, Hamo immediately contacted major governments and top scientists. Meetings were set up, and Hamo began sharing vital information about the impending threat. Detailed blueprints of the Serranian ships, their combat tactics, and potential vulnerabilities were laid out. Initially skeptical, Earth's leaders soon realized the gravity of the situation and began collaborating on a unified defense strategy. While Hamo immersed himself in high-stakes discussions, Gorgo took on a different yet equally crucial role. Recognizing the importance of morale, he appeared on global media, addressing the public with a message of hope and resilience. With his gentle demeanor and touching stories, Gorgo quickly became a symbol of resistance. Children everywhere adored him, finding comfort in his presence. His image graced posters and television screens, a beacon of solidarity against the looming threat. However, the Serranians were far from oblivious. Detecting the united front forming on Earth, they began sending spies to gather intelligence on Hamo and Gorgo. These spies were masters of disguise and blended seamlessly into society, sowing seeds of doubt and misinformation. Rumors began to circulate, questioning Hamo's motives and painting Gorgo as a mere puppet used to manipulate the public. Trust began to waver as the atmosphere grew thick with suspicion. Hamo and Gorgo had anticipated such tactics. Using advanced alien technology, they worked to identify and neutralize the infiltrators. Hamo arranged for covert operations to expose and capture the spies, while Gorgo doubled down on his media appearances, directly addressing the lies and reaffirming their mission to protect Earth. The battle against the Serranians was not just one of physical defense, it was also a battle for the hearts and minds of Earth's inhabitants. The resilience of humanity was the key, and Hamo and Gorgo were determined to safeguard it at all costs. The unity and trust between them and the people of Earth would ultimately determine the outcome of the struggle against an overwhelming alien force. In the face of danger, alliances strengthened and the spirit of resistance blazed brighter than ever. Hamo stood at the edge of the Serranian warship's bridge, his eyes narrowing as he caught sight of the figure before him. Darkser, the malevolent leader of the Serranians, sat upon a dark throne, shrouded in an ominous aura. Dark energy crackled around him, forming tendrils that reached out menacingly. His cold, piercing eyes met Hamo's, sending a chill down his spine. "Welcome, Hamo," Darkser's voice echoed, reverberating through the vast chamber. "You have walked into the heart of darkness." Hamo clenched his fists, his determination unwavering. "I won't let you take over the galaxy, Darkser," he declared. Darkser laughed, a sound devoid of warmth. "Such bold words from a mere mortal. You have no idea the power I wield." With a flick of his wrist, Darkser summoned a barrage of dark energy, hurling it towards Hamo. Before Hamo could react, Gorgo leapt in front of him, his own energy shield absorbing the impact. Gorgo's eyes glowed with a fierce intensity as he faced Darkser. In one powerful move, Gorgo retaliated with a blast of his own energy, causing the bridge to tremble. Meanwhile, Darkser sent an advanced contingent of his soldiers to Earth, their purpose clear: to begin the conquest of the planet. The skies over major cities became battlegrounds, filled with the roar of engines and the crackling of energy weapons. Hamo and Gorgo took to the skies with unmatched ferocity. Gorgo, with his towering frame and destructive abilities, unleashed a barrage of energy blasts that tore through the enemy forces. Hamo, agile and quick, weaved through the chaos, engaging in close combat with Darkser's soldiers. The battle was intense, with both sides sustaining heavy losses. Hamo's heart pounded as he and Gorgo fought side by side, their bond unbreakable in the face of overwhelming odds. As the sun set, the first wave of enemy forces was finally defeated, retreating to the edges of the atmosphere. Above the burning remnants of the city, Hamo looked to Gorgo with resolve. "This is just the beginning," he said. Gorgo nodded, his eyes still glowing with determination. "We will fight, and we will win. The galaxy will not fall to darkness." Unbeknownst to them, Darkser watched from afar, his eyes gleaming with sinister intent. This was but a test, a mere taste of his true power. The real battle was yet to come. The battle against the Serranians had left the Earth scarred but resilient. Hamo, the determined human leader, stood amidst a devastated battlefield, feeling both a sense of loss and a glimmer of hope. The sky shimmered with the arrival of intergalactic allies who had heeded his call for aid. Each ship that landed brought with it extraterrestrial warriors from distant reaches of the cosmos. Each one possessing unique abilities that promised a new edge in the fight against the looming threat of Darkser. The first to disembark was Kale, a sleek and agile alien from the Nebulan system, whose mastery of energy manipulation was legendary. With Kale came Mara, a brilliant strategist with bioluminescent skin that changed color with her emotions, a trait that Hamo noted could be both useful and dangerous. The Yantari, an immense robotic entity with the computational power of 1,000 supercomputers, arrived next. Towering over Hamo, the Yantari's presence was both intimidating and reassuring. As more allies arrived, including the insectoid Zarnaxians and the telepathic Oranos, Hamo felt the weight of his new responsibility. Forming a cohesive unit from such a diverse group wouldn't be easy. Trust and cooperation were essential but difficult to forge amidst beings with such varied backgrounds. The initial council was held in a hastily renovated warehouse. Hamo stood at the head of a long table, commanding attention despite his relative frailty among the alien giants. Darkser's grip tightens with each passing day, he began. Our first victory was significant, but it was only the beginning. We must come together, pool our strengths, and plan carefully for the final assault. Myra's skin flickered through shades of blue and green as she gestured toward a holographic map of the galaxy. The Serranian small attacks are intended to keep us distracted. We need to anticipate their moves while preparing for the larger threat. Kale added, with my energy manipulation, we can set up defensive barriers that can buy us time against these attacks. The Yantari's voice boomed, analyzing tactical possibilities. Optimal resource allocation for defense and offense required. As they strategized, reports of minor skirmishes with the Serranians trickled in. These attacks seemed designed to sow chaos and weaken their resolve. Hamo realized the importance of maintaining morale. He moved from ally to ally, building personal connections and establishing trust. He knew that unity was their greatest weapon against Darkser's tyranny. Through the combined efforts of Hamo and his alien allies, new strategies were devised, incorporating the best of each species' strengths. The Yantari's logistical prowess, Myra's strategic mind, Kale's defensive capabilities, and the Oranos' telepathic insights all began to intertwine into a formidable plan of action. The episode ended with Hamo addressing the collective assembly. Together, we are stronger than any one race. Together, we can defeat Darkser and bring peace to our worlds. Stand with me, and let's forge a future free from fear. Hamo paced back and forth in the command tent, mind racing with the latest news. One of the new members of the Alliance had been secretly recruited by Darkser. This was not just a blow to the Alliance's defense plans but a knife through the heart of the trust they had painstakingly built. Hamo's mind wandered back to the string of mysterious events, malfunctioning equipment, miscommunications, and last-minute changes that had nearly compromised their defensive lines. Now, everything made sense. The traitor, who had embedded themselves deeply within their ranks, had been the catalyst. The tension within the tent was palpable when Hamo called an emergency meeting. The core members sat in a circle, their eyes reflecting disbelief and anger. Gorgo, the seasoned warrior whose wisdom was rivaled only by his loyalty, sat closest to Hamo. He leaned in and whispered, "We must handle this delicately, Hamo. The morale of our people depends on it." Hamo nodded, straightening up to address the group. "Friends, it has come to my attention that we have a traitor among us." A collective gasp filled the room. "This individual has been sabotaging our plans and feeding information to Darkser." Shockwaves surged through the Alliance, especially among the young recruits who looked to the senior members for reassurance. One of the children, Ilara, gazed up at Hamo with wide, tear-filled eyes. "How could someone betray us?" she asked, her voice quivering. Hamo knelt before her, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Betrayal comes from fear and weakness, Ilara. But it's how we respond that defines us." The days that followed were tense. Hamo, with Gorgo's unwavering support, initiated an investigation, carefully piecing together clues without causing panic. Gorgo became a pillar of psychological strength for Hamo, often reminding him that trust was as fragile as glass, but equally transparent once it was earned. The Alliance held a special assembly to address the issue. Hamo stood tall before them, a mixture of confidence and sadness in his eyes. "We have discovered the traitor," he declared. "Though this is a stain on our alliance, it is not our end. We shall rise above this." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The traitor, a once trusted member, was brought forward. Shame and regret painted their face. Hamo continued, "We must hold this person accountable, but we must also remember why we are here. Our bond is stronger than any one betrayal." The community's response was mixed. But with Gorgo's help, Hamo managed to turn the ordeal into a lesson in unity and resilience. The children, though initially shocked, began to understand the complexities of loyalty and trust. It was a harsh lesson but an invaluable one. As the evening sun set over the horizon, Hamo and Gorgo stood side by side. Hamo stood silent on the observation deck of the starship Horizon, the glow from distant stars casting eerie shadows across his face. He held in his hand the ancient star map, a relic they had recovered just days before. Every line and symbol on it pointed to one staggering truth: the true location of the Dark Gate, the portal that the Serranians used to traverse between planets. It was hidden deep within the asteroid field known as Perdition's Belt. "We found it," Hamo whispered, the weight of the discovery pressing heavily on his shoulders. He turned to Gorgo, his trusted companion. "This is our chance to cut off Darkzer's communication with his soldiers. We have to destroy it." Gorgo's eyes narrowed, his green scales glinting in the low light. "It won't be easy. The Serranians will be fortified there, ready to protect the gate at all costs." Hamo nodded solemnly. "I know, but we have no choice." Preparations for the mission began immediately. The Horizon soon left the haven of the Alliance's space dock, venturing into the perilous void of space. Every crew member knew the stakes, yet their resolve was unshakable. Days of travel through the cosmic abyss led them to Perdition's Belt, a chaotic cluster of asteroids where danger lurked at every turn. Navigating through the belt required the utmost precision, but Gorgo's skill at the helm drove them forward. At last, the colossal structure of the Dark Gate loomed ahead, surrounded by a swarm of Serranian fighters. Alarms blared as the Horizon sensors detected incoming threats. "All hands to battle stations," Hamo ordered. A massive battle erupted as the Alliance forces clashed with Darkzer's minions. Blaster fire and energy beams lit up the dark expanse of space, explosions creating temporary stars. Hamo and Gorgo led a daring strike team aboard a smaller vessel, breaking through the enemy's defensive perimeter. Once on the gate itself, the real challenge began. The Serranians had fortified the portal with numerous defenses, but the Alliance fighters pressed on with relentless courage. Hamo and his team fought hand-to-hand, laser blades clashing and blasters firing furiously. Time seemed suspended in the chaos. With Gorgo covering him, Hamo reached the heart of the Dark Gate, where the control nexus was located. Setting the charges carefully, he knew this was their only shot. "Ready to blow, Hamo!" Gorgo shouted, taking down another enemy. "Do it now!" Hamo activated the detonator, and they scrambled back towards their vessel, debris from the portal raining around them. With a deafening explosion, the Dark Gate shattered into fragments, a burst of light brighter than any star. Instantly, the tide of the battle turned. Deprived of their command and transport hub, Darkzer's forces were thrown into disarray. "Mission accomplished," Hamo said breathlessly as they reboarded the Horizon. The surviving Serranians scattered, the threat significantly diminished. As the Horizon set course back to the Alliance base, Hamo and Gorgo shared a moment of silent triumph. They had succeeded in striking a critical blow against Darkzer's empire, but the war was far from over. Yet in that fleeting moment, hope burned brightly in their hearts. Darkser advances towards Earth in a desperate attempt to take it over after the Darkser Gate is destroyed. Hamo and the Alliance gather to confront him in a final battle. Darkser leads his fleet directly towards the planet, and confronts the Alliance in an epic battle in space, where each fighter shows his own strength. Gorgo, despite his enormous size, proves once again that he is more than just a giant monster, but a true partner to Hamo. As the Dark Armada approached, Hamo could feel the weight of the universe on his shoulders. His eyes surveyed the imposing fleet of Darksorians, knowing that this was their last stand. "This is it, everyone," Hamo announced through the comms. "We need to give it everything we've got." Flanking him were the members of the Alliance, Zara, the nimble pilot who could outmaneuver any adversary, Arya, the strategic genius, and Gorgo, the towering behemoth who had fought by Hamo's side since the beginning. The space felt cold and empty despite the pockets of explosions and gunfire. Hamo maneuvered his battlecruiser with acute precision, dodging and firing with equal measure. It felt like an eternity of constant struggle until Darkser's ship appeared on his radar. "I've got eyes on Darkser," Hamo called out. "Time to end this." As the other members of the Alliance kept the fleet at bay, Hamo and Gorgo headed straight for Darkser's flagship. Hamo tried to break through the barriers of Darkser's vessel, but it was Gorgo who stepped in, using his massive strength to tear open an entrance. In the dim light of a dying sun, Hamo stood on the cusp of his greatest challenge. Facing him was Darkser, a malevolent force determined to annihilate Earth and the Galactic Alliance. The battlefield, littered with the remnants of past skirmishes, resonated with anticipation. Darkser's eyes glowed with a fierce intensity as he unleashed a torrent of energy, aimed to obliterate everything in his path. Hamo's heart pounded as the destructive wave surged towards him. But he stood firm, drawing strength from the memory of countless allies who had fallen to protect their world. Just as Darkser's power was about to collide with Hamo, a colossal figure materialized beside him, Gorgo, his loyal companion whose strength was legendary across the galaxy. Together, they formed an unbreakable front. Darkser's expression twisted with rage as his onslaught met the solidity of Hamo and Gorgo's combined defenses. "You cannot win," Darkser snarled. "This universe will know only darkness." Hamo's resolve hardened. "Not while we still stand." With a roar, Gorgo lunged towards Darkser, his powerful fists striking with seismic force. The ground beneath them cracked and quivered, but Gorgo's assault did not relent. Simultaneously, Hamo focused his energies, a brilliant aura enveloping him as he unleashed a counterforce to Darkser's darkness. The clash was monumental, light versus dark in a cataclysmic duel. Minutes felt like hours, but with every passing moment, it was clear that Hamo and Gorgo's synergy was overwhelming Darkser. In one final, desperate act, Darkser summoned all his remaining power for a climactic attack. Yet, in that critical moment, Hamo and Gorgo combined their forces for a decisive blow. A dazzling explosion of light engulfed Darkser, and when the brilliance faded, the malevolent being was no more. Cheers erupted from the fleet of allies who had been watching with bated breath. Hamo and Gorgo stood victorious, symbols of hope and courage amidst the destruction. Back on Earth, the news of their triumph spread like wildfire. The once somber skies now sparkled with vibrant fireworks as humans and galactic allies celebrated their hard-won peace. Statues were erected in honor of Hamo and Gorgo, and children gazed at them with awe and admiration. Stories of their bravery became bedtime tales that inspired dreams of heroism and unity. As they stood among their people, Hamo and Gorgo couldn't help but smile. The galaxy was safe once more, and a new chapter of hope had begun.